All right, lesson 28, Pratyahara. Pratyahara translates as detachment. It is one of the 8 limbs of yoga and one of the most neglected limbs of yoga. Most people know yoga as exercise and or meditation, but are not so much aware of the other limbs of yoga. Most importantly, the philosophical foundation of yoga, which is asana, which is yama, niyama, and pratyahara. Pratyahara is the 5th limb of yoga. Yoga, what many people don't realize is that yoga is a very systematic framework for development, for transformation. And there is a reason why the first limb of yoga is yama. There is a reason why the 5th limb of yoga is pratyahara. Pratyahara comes after you started your yoga practice. First with reflection on human behavior through the yamas and the niyamas, instinctive and impulsive behavior. Then the asana practice and meditation, pranayama, energy control, which lead to transformation. It leads to changes. And those changes can cause distress in people. People don't realize that yoga can actually lead to emotional, psychological distress. If pratyahara is taught at all in any course or yoga class, is often, like with the yamas and the niyamas, it's dealt with in a very superficial way. Like non-violence is explained as don't kill your neighbor, which you can find in the Bible as well. Pratyahara is described as, it means detachment, and from what do you need to detach? From your worldly possessions. Subject closed. And that is not why Pratyahara is important. The reason why Pratyahara is important is because your yoga practice leads to increased sensitivity and consciousness, and that opens you up literally to harm from overexposure. Many things that you were not aware of before your transformation now come pouring in. Other people's misery becomes apparent to you. You become aware of other people's misery. You become aware of the suffering of animals. You become aware, many people who start practicing yoga just very naturally want to be a vegetarian because they realize that what they eat are animals that they also could love, that have a right to exist. So it can be very overwhelming. And throughout the years I've had people visiting who have been practicing yoga for a while, almost fanatically, and come across our advertisement for our course, realizing that there is something serious to pursue. And the question then is, please explain to me. On the one hand, because I practice yoga every day, I feel great. Why do I constantly feel the need to cry? Why do I feel so unstable often? So it's very double. They feel great, they feel amazing, they're in amazing shape, but yet they started suffering. That suffering is called one of the diseases of the disciple. It's acknowledged in the ancient text that this happens. And that is why Pratyahara is so important. It happened to me also when I come from a big family. 4 boys, 3 girls, and I was very close with the second and the third boy. I was the 4th boy. My oldest brother had more a life of his own. We grew up together, the 3 of us. We did everything together. But in our teenage years, things kind of derailed a little bit because our parents divorced while we were very vulnerable, just early teens, and that divorce also was not done in a sensible way, so it came as a shock, and it kind of, the whole family as a result kind of derailed. It led to alcohol abuse, drug abuse, etc. And I tried, because I was so very close, especially with those 2 brothers, you know, blood is thicker than, what do they say? Blood is thicker than something. Yeah, exactly. It's very difficult to rationalize family ties. You just need to do something. And it was to the point of obsession that I wanted to help them get rid of their addictions. One had especially issues with alcohol, the other had especially issues with drugs, with the heroin. And when I started practicing yoga with Ajita, I was trying to get my life together. I went to school at night, working in the day, studying yoga formally after having practiced on my own from a book for a couple of years. I came across Ajita's advertisement and knew that was something I needed. And what happened is that I dropped out time and time again. And one day I called Ajita and I said, Ajit, can I have a conversation with you? Can I visit you and have a conversation? He reluctantly agreed. And he asked me to come to his house. And I entered his house and he said, sit down. There was a small IKEA sofa, 2-seat. And he said, sit down. Tell me. He said, tell me. He's sitting next to me. Tell me. And I started talking about all my frustrations, the past, of course, but especially my inability to get my brothers to change their mind and turn their lives around like I had done. And he said, wait. Within 2 minutes, he broke me off. And he said, wait. Don't talk about your past. And don't talk about other people's misery. Answer this question. What do you want? Ron, what do you want? And I said, I want to go to Korea. Because at that point I had practiced Hapkido for a couple of years. And that was just something that I wanted to do. So that was my goal. That is why I went to school at night to learn how to run a business. And that is why I was working, saving money. So what do you want to do? I want to go to Korea. What do you need to do to make that possible? So I said, finish my course with you, finish my education at night, and save enough money. Then he said, focus only on those 3 things. Every time that you are bothered by things that have nothing to do with those 3 elements that you need to fulfill your wish, you have to detach from it. Practice Pratyahara. It's about mind control, being aware of what is happening, how it is affecting you, and then consciously deciding, no, stay away from me. This is not for me. This is not helpful. I need to move on without all this baggage, without all this luggage. And it worked. From that moment on, very systematically, I worked, finished everything that I needed to finish, including saving enough money. I packed my suitcase and I went. That is Pratyahara. You see, on the next page, the 4th paragraph, I will just read it. If you're being bothered by bad experiences from your past, you also withdraw your attention from those events, people, and thoughts. First and foremost, do not blame yourself, as blame is counterproductive and does not lead to anything constructive. Blame and guilt often bring you into a negative spiral of self-destructive behavior. Come back to the present and focus your energy on yourself and on your present and future projects like studies, work, and current relationships. Start looking forward instead of backward. Remember that energy follows thought. If your mind is in the past, your energy is in the past. If your mind is occupied with negative experiences, like traumatic experiences, you undergo negative emotions, even while no such negativity is taking place in your present situation. Understanding of the principle that there is no good and bad and that all events in life are designed to bring you where your destiny is will be of great help to detach from your past. So everybody in life goes through experiences that later lead to regret or blaming. My parents didn't treat me well, or my friends abandoned me, or I hurt others, I hurt my classmates, or I hurt my parents or my siblings. Blame and guilt are sentiments that are toxic. It is important that we realize what happened, but we should not fall into the trap that we drown ourselves in those sentiments and basically become dysfunctional. In the worst case scenario, you see this with traumatized people, they don't function anymore. And the thing with guilt and blame, if you feel guilty about things that you did in the past, you deal with realizing that you're not a bad person per se. Whatever it is that you did out of ignorance. Now you know better and it won't happen anymore. And that should be enough to not allow yourself to drown in a sense of guilt for things that happened in the past. And if you can extend such forgiveness to yourself and the deeds committed out of ignorance, you must be able to extend that to the other people that have treated you in a bad way, by realizing that, well, in essence, they are not bad people. What they did out of ignorance. Hopefully they became wiser with the years passing. That is how we consciously have to deal, especially becoming more conscious and sensitive, and also the harmonization in Swadhisthana chakra, the second chakra from the bottom, leading to the appearance of memories that most other people are not aware of early childhood, that can become very overwhelming. It is very important that you consciously are aware of this happening, triggering emotions that are can be very devastating, and then to introduce the concept of Pratyahara, that you try to look at it as a third person, as opposed to being drawn into a well of misery. The human nature is, because of ego, that we identify with the misery that we are facing. And that is where it goes wrong. Then you have no control anymore and you suffer tremendously. And as I wrote in that paragraph also, your situation now may be totally free from all kinds of inappropriate treatment or behaviors. But if you think about things that happened in the past, you're still undergoing that same misery while it is actually not happening anymore. So it only makes sense that we try to avoid that and use the technique of Pratyahara to detach from it. The last sentence also is very important. Understanding of the principle that there is no good and bad, and that all events in life are designed to bring you where your destiny is, where you need to be. If it were not for the things that happened in my past, I wouldn't have been in Korea. I wouldn't have pursued yoga. I wouldn't have, many things would not have taken place. So, as a first reaction, you might have negative feelings about things that happened in the past, or hold grudges, or blame people for your misery. But when you understand how this works, you come to the point that your negative sentiment actually turns into gratitude. Because you realize that the good things that are happening now are the result of the past. They wouldn't have taken place if you had not gone through those experiences. If you can deal with issues like that, they are not an obstacle anymore. Instead of weakening you or causing you misery, they actually strengthen you and educate you. All right. Pratyahara. Questions about Pratyahara? Next week, we have another lesson dedicated to Pratyahara. We will go into... There are 4 different kinds of Pratyahara, it seems, and we will discuss each 4 of them in their particulars, how you can apply them in your daily life situations. All right, let's have a short break.